dear friend. I'm Grandma Rose.
Tonight, I'd like to share a special memory. I was only 8 when winter arrived early. By sunrise, our little village had disappeared beneath a blanket of quiet white snow.
Come in and settle down under your blanket, my dear. Tonight, I found a story in my journal I hadn't read in a very long time. I wrote it down many winters ago, after my own grandmother told it to me by a fire much like this one. It's an old story, older than me even. It comes from a village far to the east, where the winters are long and the forests are deep, and the snow falls so quietly you can almost hear it thinking.
There was once a woodcutter named Anton who lived at the very edge of a village where the last house met the first trees of the forest. Anton was not a rich man. His roof leaked a little when it rained, and his boots were patched more times than anyone could count. But he was a kind man, and every evening, no matter how tired he was, he left a small piece of bread on his windowsill for the birds, he said, though he never quite knew why he did it. Now, Anton had lived beside that forest his whole life. He knew every path, every stream. Long before any of this, when Anton was still a young man, his wife had knelt right there by the door and planted a small rose bush with her own hands. It won't survive the winter, Anton had told her, laughing gently. Everything survives, she'd said, if you love it enough. One evening, as the light was fading to that soft blue that comes just before dark, Anton heard a sound from the forest. Not a howl, not a bark, something softer, almost like a song, hummed very quietly. He followed it just a little way into the trees, his lantern swinging gently in his hand. And there, perched on the low branch of a birch tree, was a bird unlike any he had ever seen. Its feathers glowed faintly like the last embers of a fire. Deep orange, soft gold, the color of a candle seen through a curtain. You have been kind to me, woodcutter, the bird said in a voice like wind chimes. Take one feather and keep it close. When you are lost or afraid, or when your heart feels too heavy to carry, hold the feather and you will find your way. And with that, the Firebird shook loose a single glowing feather and let it drop gently into Anton's open palm. Anton carried that feather home, tucked safely in his coat pocket, never once guessing how soon he would need it.
daughter was born was the hardest night of Anton's life. There had been complications, the midwife said. Too much blood, too little time. By the time the sun rose, his wife was gone. His daughter would not stop crying. Not for the midwife, not for the warm blankets, not for anything. Anton, his hands shaking, reached into his pocket for the one thing he still carried. He pressed the warm feather gently against his daughter's tiny chest, and slowly her crying softened, then stilled into a quiet, even breath, as though somehow she understood she was not alone. Some evenings, standing by that stubborn little rose bush, Anton swore he could still hear her voice. "Everything survives," she'd said, "if you love it enough." He held his daughter a little closer and watched the roses hold their colour against the snow. Anton grew old, as woodcutters do, and on a quiet evening much like this one, with snow falling outside his window, he gave the feather to his daughter and told her the whole story, just as I have told it to you. "Keep it close," he said, "not because it holds magic, but because it reminds you that you were helped once by a stranger in the dark, and that you are capable of helping too. My own grandmother told me that the feather was passed down for many generations after that. Some say it's still out there somewhere, tucked into an old coat pocket or a drawer that hasn't been opened in years. I like to think that maybe it doesn't matter if the feather is real. I think what matters is the woodcutter kneeling in the snow, patient and unhurried, freeing a small stuck wing without a single thought for himself. So if your heart feels heavy tonight, my dear, imagine a small warm light resting gently in your open palm. You are safe. You are held. And morning will come softly, just like it always does. Next time, my dear, I'll tell you about the lantern that never went